Hi, and welcome to Data Burst 10, I believe. The videos we do in between the battle reports, and if you're waiting for a battle report, 7 days, you'll get one. It's quite a good one coming up, actually. It's a practice that we did for a tournament coming up next week.
It was definitely bloody, I'll give you that. It was a bloody and violent affair.
It was very violent, yes. We don't often play each other at tournaments, which is a good thing. But as long as I beat Storm in a tournament, I'm happy. Higher place. We'll never win.
Higher, yeah.
Exactly. You somehow came third last time, didn't you?
There was only 3 people there. So
Well, that's true.
Right. Without further ado, I will hand you over to Stormshout, and he can explain what we're doing today, because I don't quite understand what he's on about. So,
Okay, so all of the abilities on your Infinity profiles obviously carry a points cost in Corvus Belli's formula that we don't all understand. But there are some that I think are probably undervalued, that I think are better than they are, and they should be used more. And there are some that are overvalued, which we might get to depending on how time goes. We might cover those next time. So we're going to go through 3 each of the ones we think are undervalued to begin with, and then we'll come back and do the overvalued things. So I'm going to preface this before we start saying it will obviously depend on your area and what your local meta's play style is, because you could say, someone could say, for example, that they think mimetism is completely pointless because everyone in their meta brings like 4 things with MSV3 every time they play, so they don't see any value from it. But if you go somewhere else where they have no MSV, then all of a sudden mimetism is incredibly powerful. Okay, I'll go first. I'll kick this off.
Okay.
So the first one I think is underappreciated is triangulated fire. I very, very rarely see anybody use it. And I think it's available to every faction, because your basic forward observer remote thing will have triangulated fire. And for those of you who aren't aware what it does, it allows you to make your shot as an entire order.
I don't know what it does. Thank you for telling me.
Okay.
So I'll pop it on screen now so we can all have a look.
So it allows you to declare an attack for an entire order, and the only modifier you take is -3. You don't take any penalties for range, cover, mimetism. So if you're shooting that pesky Myrmidon at like 48 inches with your combi rifle, you've got 3 dice hitting on 8s rather than 3 dice that can't hit. And anything that affects your burst will stack over. So if you put one of those things into a fire team, which you can do in Shasvasti, Tunguska, probably a couple of other options that I'm unaware of, but I know those 2 for a fact, you get the extra burst. So you get 4 dice hitting on 8s with a combi rifle at like 47 inches.
Pretty good.
Yeah, okay. It is a pretty good one. And for kind of how many more points you're paying for? Are we paying for that? Do we know?
I've no idea. I don't understand how calls ready for, but I never see it used. It's a skill that I don't think you remember you've got. And it's like
that, and I think it's the full skill thing.
It being the entire order.
It's the entire order. So maybe it's a case of people stay away from it because they want to move and shoot and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I completely agree. It is. I don't use it.
There's a few profiles that have it, which I think outside of the remote, the ones I can remember that have it, and there's one of the proxies that get it with its Mark 12, which I think could be very powerful if you remember you've got it.
Yeah.
And the Nomad character, Yelena Kovac, she's got it with her Breaker combi rifle. And again, she can go in fire teams in Tunguska. She's got triangular fire. So yeah, I think that doesn't get used as much as it should, and I think it's probably more powerful than people realise.
Yeah, probably. Right, shall I go for one?
Go for one.
Yeah, go on.
Protheon. Now, this hardly ever gets used. I've got Shasvasti. I hardly ever use it. But I really ought to, because it's cool. Because you when you play in close combat games, it's always that I might lose, I might get close. But Protheon, I think that's a really good one. I'll put it on screen.
Okay. So Protheon is you eat the person you've just killed.
Yes. So you basically, if you win, you take a point off them, you give it to yourself, and then if that person is then unconscious, you eat them again and get another one, which is great. You can't any more than that, but then it's a bonus. And I think the stuff with Protheon are generally good with CC anyway. So for me, Protheon, and it is pretty cool.
Are we aware of anything outside Shasvasti that's got that?
No, I don't think so. I think it's a Shasvasti only thing. I could be wrong. Does Norkius get it?
Yeah.
He's a Samaritan.
Pretty sure he does.
Yes, okay. It's definitely combined army only. I don't think any of the human races go and eat your stats. It's great. It doesn't get used enough. It is part of the reason I think that Sheshkin is quite as expensive as she is. I think without Protheon, she wouldn't be quite as. I think it'd probably bring her down a good sort of 5 or 6 points at least.
Yeah, it gives her that extra bonus for getting into close combat with her.
It's
as
up to
well.
4 wounds potentially. Makes it really tough. No, I would agree. It doesn't get used as much as it should. I have tried a couple of times, but you keep shooting the things I use with it.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Right, is it my go?
Yep.
Yeah.
Excellent. My first one is going to be combat jump. So this is another one that I think is quite cool, but nobody ever uses it. So I see lots of parachutists now coming on the sides and everything. Parachuters is a lot better, but I don't see anybody. I can't even remember the last time anybody actually jumped in onto the board using combat jump. But I think
it's all the time with
pretty...
tigers.
I think you and I, Claw, use it a lot more than people generally do, because I definitely use it with my Hellcat. You use it with your Tiger Soldiers.
But I don't see it hardly at all.
I think it's people playing the percentages game, because, it's a dice roll. You could fail it, and if you fail it, then you're back of the bus over there.
But it's nowhere as bad as it used to be in the olden days, is it? Where you used to wander off the board.
Back in my day, when you scoured 16 inches and fell in front of gunfire.
They used to give us coal to eat from down the pit.
Yeah, no, it's not as bad as that. At least you know
okay.
where you're going to reappear now. You're going to appear back in your deployment zone.
But I think that's something, again, I quite like triangulated fire, I must admit. But no, I think combat jump is something that people need to do more of, because I think it's potentially devastating.
It is. You land behind somebody and you're in their back passage straight away.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Claw.
And there goes the tone. Straight to the gutter.
Lad, I could help.
Oh, dear.
I think that's one, though, that is probably very meta specific.
Yeah, I guess so. There's probably
certainly
people
Claw
in
and
the
I, when
world
we're playing
somewhere.
against each other, we use it a lot more than I see it used at tournaments.
Okay, so you're number 2?
My second one is Sapper.
Oh, wow.
See, I like Sapper. Sapper gives you mimetism, -3. It gives you partial cover from every direction, and it gives you the courage skill.
It's courage as well.
It gives you courage as well.
Wow.
Let's bring it up.
You can put that piece anywhere you like, and it's in cover with mimetism, and it's not ducking. So on some pieces, I mean, that they make. So there's a couple in Merovingians that are great, the Zouave and the Moblots, which is part of the reason I think we don't see as much of it as possible, because those two, they've got 2 heavy machine gun profiles that can take it, one of which can forward deploy. Forward deploying heavy machine gun in cover with mimetism, stick it in suppression fire. That is your opponent, your problem, Mr. Opponent. Deal with it. There aren't a lot of profiles that get it.
Good.
There is a Shazvasti profile that gets it.
Haiduk. Does he?
Yep, the Haiduk gets it.
Yes, he does.
I think he's right. I think it's, again, I'd like to see more profiles with Sapper. I think it's a really nice little thing for there's an Acontecimento regular sniper profile that gets it, which used to be great back in the day when I played Acontecimento. You put 2 of those in a fire team, stick them somewhere, say, right, that's my ARO threat.
Yeah, ARO sorted.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about terrain or anything. If that's a good place to be, an ARO, stick a Sapper there, you're sorted.
It's also kind of very narrative that they've got there to the battlefield early, got set up, set the stall out, that kind of stuff. Yeah, okay.
Took a big hole.
Yeah, and the Haiduk's not very expensive either, to be honest.
No, I like the Haiduk. I take him quite a lot with that because of that, because I can put that marksman rifle that he's got in Vanilla combined and just bung him on a line, put him in suppression fire, and walk away.
Right. Okay. So my next one is Chain of Command. Now, for me, Chain of Command is a really important one because 2 things. One is it allows you to take a leader, a lieutenant that's cool. For example, Marut, who's going to do everything for you. He's got all the tools. She's got everything that you need. But you also need to take her into the heart of the battle to make use of her. So you need that Chain of Command kicking around in the back. And generally, the models with chain of command are pretty cool anyway. So for a LF, it's or the SSS, it's the
Was that the
the
OS?
yeah, the Meminol officer, who's pretty cool herself. So for me, chain of command is there necessary for protecting your lieutenant, but the opposite way around. You let the lieutenant go and face your fire.
Protects you from loss of lieutenant. That's what it protects you from.
Also, it's a specialist skill.
It is.
Which is one. If you're kind of like got a heavy killy army, it's an extra specialist to open the box. So for me, I think chain of command is for me one of the important ones that I like to use as often as I can.
That's pretty cool. That is good. I must admit, they tend to be quite expensive, don't they? Chain of command models.
You do end up paying for it in some sectorial, some factions. For example, there's nothing in Nomads with chain of command as far as I'm aware, because they're all anarchists.
That's why, is it?
Yeah. It's hard enough to get one person to take the lieutenant's exam. Never mind get the second one to do it.
Yeah.
Well, this is quite. Well, mine's kind of feeds into what you just said, really, because my one is veteran, the veteran skill. Now, this has kind of come on because Morats arrived, and obviously they have veteran. But I was also talking to somebody online the other day about they were moaning about being in loss of lieutenant and what do I do now? I haven't got anybody. I can't do it, you know. And I was like, well, have you got anybody with veteran? Because they remain regular and don't really care that your lieutenant's died. Yeah, you can just keep going. And I think that's undervalued. I don't see that many people with veteran or realise, you know, there's veteran there. So I mean, there's obviously the Morats that have just come out, but Frontovix is another one I use quite a lot, which, you know, is Ariadne stroke Cosmoflot stroke TAC. And I just find it really useful because I do tend to get my lieutenant killed quite a lot. It just obviously don't try to do it, but it does tend to happen. So that just helps give you some extra regular orders really to use.
The other thing with veteran that I think gets overlooked is it makes you immune to being isolated.
Yes.
You don't care about the isolated state at all, which is great if your lieutenant's a hacker.
Yeah.
A hackable lieutenant. Well, a hackable lieutenant, yeah. Because it's all of a sudden, yeah, okay, I don't care about you isolating me. Go for your life. Go, that Oblivion program, fantastic. Don't care. Carry on.
Yeah. I've got to admit, I forget about veteran all the time. And generally have to be reminded. But then I haven't got that.
You don't play Morats.
I haven't got very many profiles with veteran, I don't think.
No, you haven't. No. The other thing I think that's confusing is you've got veteran troop as a classification.
And veteran skill.
And veteran skill is a different thing. I do think that gets confusing for some players.
Yeah. There you go.
Are we on to my last one then?
Yes.
X-Visor. It's a piece of equipment rather than a skill, but I think X-Visor doesn't get the respect that it deserves. It gets overshadowed by other visors.
Because everybody wants a multispectral visor. X-Visor.
Okay, X-Visor combined with suppression fire is fantastic because you ignore that -3 out to 2 foot. It's awesome.
Yeah, is it worth it?
I think so. If you've ever been trying to play a move across the board and your opponent's put 2 or 3 Lugaroos or Assassin Lasiques with viral rifles into suppression fire, that ruins your day. You can't move anywhere within 2 foot of the little buggers. I think it's a great little piece of kit that.
They are good. Veteran Kazakh as well with G2 rifle.
That's a cracking example.
Amazing.
Great.
He's not convinced, is he?
He's not convinced.
Maybe I'll come across 3 of them in one game. It'll... The
other profiles you see it on are things like that you've got is the intruders with the. And I don't think it's as useful on the weapons that they've got. The sniper rifle, okay, it now doesn't care if you get really close. But I've very rarely seen an intruder in a position where his opponent's getting really close.
Yeah. If that happens, something's gone wrong.
Yeah, I think it's more useful on combi rifles, the rifle profiles, and anything you're going to put in suppression fire, personally. That's my third one, and you won't convince me it's not worth it.
I just think the better ones. Which, for example, Marksmanship, I think is better than that. Because that is more situational. You've got to be in, have that fire, lane of fire and all that kind of stuff. But Marksmanship, most people keep their units in cover because they're sensible. And so most of the time you're shooting somebody in cover. You've got Marksmanship, you've got that +3 bonus all the time. So I think Marksmanship is one of those skills that are absolutely fantastic, and for me that's why it's number one, because it's going to be one of the most useful, because you're going to be using it pretty much every order that you're using that unit.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
It is very good.
I agree. It's useful. It very nearly ended up on my other list because I've got a few things that have Marksmanship. The Spetsnaz, the Zayden in my Hack Islam. And although the Marksmanship, I get I don't care about your cover. You still get your cover for the armor saves, so you're winning the gunfights. But I find that they're still not any more capable of taking out the target.
It's winning the role, though, isn't it? A lot, I think.
Is there?
Actually, I'm probably biased because I have to face his armor saves so often.
Yeah.
Oh dear, that is true.
I can't want to say I like heavy armor. One more.
Is it bolts that have got marksmanship? Is it bolts that all got marksmanship?
Pass without checking. I don't.
All right. Okay.
I think somebody all got marksmanship.
Anyway,
it is a nice skill. I do think you pay quite a lot for it in the profile.
But you use it a lot. It's one of those that you are going to use pretty much every order that you use that unit for. Yeah. That's why I think that one is for me is a special skill.
Have you used it on any profile?
Yeah, there's a few, but I kind of
okay.
It's only really recently I've kind of like twigged.
Okay.
Light bulb moment at times. It happens occasionally. It's very dull bulb, but it happens sometimes.
Okay then. So, Ogre, what's your third and final underappreciated skill?
Well, my skill is I've just looked on army, and it is bolts have got my marksmanship. Interesting. They've also got veteran, so they kind of hit two things there that we'll be talking about.
Bolts are generally underappreciated, I think.
Yeah, I must admit, my third, I haven't really got a third one. I've been on holiday all week and didn't come up with anything else. However, the one thing I want to talk about, if that's okay, is Berserk. Because I've seen it quite a lot, or people using it quite a lot, when I don't think they should. And it's kind of like, personally for me, I think I underestimate it because I hardly ever use Berserk. So this is more of a personal one. So for me, I don't understand why people do Berserk and make it not face to face quite so often. And I was wondering whether you could help me with that.
Because I was.
I think it's most units with Berserk have multiple wounds and/or no wound in cap, that kind of stuff. So having that standard roll is that you are going to be winning that roll and killing that person. Okay, you might lose a wound on the way in, but you don't care.
Right. I think it's a lot of the profiles that have the bonuses to Berserk, then takes them up to a silly close combat number, which makes it much more likely that they're going to get that critical. Which, if it's a normal roll, it doesn't matter if your opponent criticals back; he's not going to cancel out. He's still going to be taking the bear, for example. He's still going to be taking 3 armor saves from that trench hammer at the silly number.
But you can get killed back, can you? That's the thing. There's quite a lot of times I've seen it where people have. They've used it, I'm going to Berserk, and then they've died themselves, and it's just kind of...
We've used it a couple of times in games recently. So Galwegian Highlanders get a bonus to their Berserk. So I have no problem Berserking with them, because one, they've got dogged if they get clipped on the way and they can keep going. B, they didn't cost me more than 10 points anyway. And so I'd much rather run in and get a chance of doing that massive critical and taking someone's head off, even if I die in response. This was against was it Macaon when he was in a fire team. I was going to die running in anyway, so I might as well use the Impetuous Order, get in there, and guarantee I'm going to get a chance to take his head off.
Yeah.
And a good chance to crit.
I think that's why people use it.
Okay.
That's my. I could be wrong. I'm sure the comments will correct me.
Yeah, it's just I know I don't use it. I underappreciate it. I underuse
You
it.
probably suffer the same problem. Try to keep your troops alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Caring about our models. It's a bad habit.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll save the bad ones.
Overvalued. They're not necessarily bad. They're just
the undervalued ones. We'll save those till for next time. But we are really interested in what you think. We want to see what skills are your number one. Put them in the comments below. We'll start a conversation and tell us why you think they are. And you never know, you probably convince us, and we'll start looking for those units ourselves. So pop them comments in below. We will. We love reading that kind of stuff. And on that, I will say goodbye and leave the goodbyes to the other two, if I edit that bit in.
Excellent. Bye. Bye.
Take care, guys. Catch you in the next one.
Okay, I did edit in. Catch you in the next one.
Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please give us a like, and if you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. It all helps to keep us motivated and raises the profile of our channel and Infinity the game, bringing it to a wider audience. And don't forget, if you're so inclined, you can also find us on Instagram and Facebook. Thank you.